Let me tell you something right off the bat. If you'd told me I'd end up fighting a full-blown border war with a smug lawsuit, happy neighbor just for the right to be left alone in the mountains of North Georgia, I'd have laughed you off my porch. Hell, I moved out here after my divorce to escape people like that. Swap the Atlanta condo and a career as a municipal surveyor for the 10 acres my dad spent his youth clearing with his own hands, settled in right at the end of an old logging trail, heavy pine canopy overhead dirt so rough you lose cell signal unless you're practically hugging the water tank, which is just the way I wanted it. Out here, peace isn't a suggestion, it's non-negotiable. And the best part, no HOA, not even a whiff of it. I double-checked the plat map 3 times over because the last thing I needed was someone telling me what color mailbox to use or how tall my grass could get. This land was clean and it was mine. Or at least that's how it started. Then came Alan Mayhew moving into the canyon behind me. A narrow, rocky plot that had no road, no legal access, not even a goat trail. Just a drop-off into kudzu and rocks. It always baffled me how anyone got that lot approved in the first place. The only way in or out. The old logging trail, my trail, right across my property. Now, years back, my dad had a handshake deal with the last owner's temporary easement. Nothing on paper, just good old neighborly favor with an expiration date. When I took over, I figured Alan would solve his problem like a sane adult, build his own access or pick a different spot. But see, Alan wasn't into solutions. He was into shortcuts, mostly through me. At first, I tried to let it slide. Saw his Subaru easing down my trail once or twice a week, never said a word. Wasn't looking for trouble. But soon enough, it turned from the odd drive-by to a daily circus, Amazon vans, food trucks, even a garbage hauler. Then out of nowhere, I wake up to sacks of crushed limestone dumped across the trail. No warning, just Alan in gym shorts grinning like he'd done me a favor. "This'll keep the mud down," he hollers. For me, I didn't remember hiring a road crew. That was the first time I really talked to him. Told him plain as day the trail's private and he didn't have a right to mess with it. He just laughed. "You really gonna be that guy?" "Yeah, Alan, I'm that guy." But here's where it shifted. Alan's whole vibe went from fake friendly to stone cold entitlement, like just because he'd been using the trail, it was suddenly his. A couple weeks later, I spot him chatting with some lady in a windbreaker and clipboard. Turned out to be from the Ridgeview Pines HOA, the one up the hill. Alan had apparently gotten himself inducted as a non-resident member. Then the complaints started rolling in. Pile of firewood by my shed. Official notice. Generator running during a thunderstorm. Another letter. Overgrown weeds fence posts. Apparently even the air was dangerous for imaginary children. Every single concerned neighbor routed through the HOA straight to the county. Inspectors kept showing up, shaking their heads. "You're not in an HOA, but when they complain, we've got to check." So I got smart, kept a folder of every notice, every photo, every timestamp. And then I really got smart. Hauled out my old hunting trail cam, pointed it right at the bend. Alan's car always crawled around. Within a week, I had videos of him and his guests ripping up dirt, tossing beer cans, treating my land like an ATV park. I waited. I wanted to see just how far he'd take it because I could feel it. This wasn't laziness. Alan wanted to own my trail, and he was going to try every angle except the honest one. The bomb dropped when I got a stiff official letter from the county. A review is underway to determine if your logging trail qualifies as a public easement. I swear my blood pressure hit the ceiling. Alan was trying to get my driveway reclassified as public property, a move that, if successful, meant pizza delivery guys and HOA busybodies could tromp through whenever they liked, and I'd be powerless to stop it. I tore down to the county building and got the permit packet myself. There it was. Alan's application, hand-drawn maps, a signed agreement from my father, who died 3 years before the date, on the paper highlighted satellite photos. Even a letter from the HOA vouching for his character. If it hadn't been aimed at me, it would have been laughable. I called my attorney Ronald Gibbs, retired JAG, mean as a rattlesnake. After reading through Alan's evidence, he just chuckled. Been waiting for someone dumb enough to try this. Next, I tapped a buddy at the assessor's office. A day later, I had the full land history, no public easement ever. My trail was private, registered as a forest maintenance route back in '85. Armed with all that, I was ready to shut this circus down, but Alan cranked it up a notch. Fire marshal, code enforcement, environmental animal control, hell, I don't even own a dog. Clearly, Alan was weaponizing every complaint he could dream up. So I doubled down. Mounted 2 more trail cams, digital backups, the works. Kept building my case. But the real kicker came one afternoon. Alan drives up in a Ridgeview Pines windbreaker sunglasses and tells me, "Hey Tom, I'll be supplementing my request. Don't start any new fencing near the trail." My blood boiled. He wasn't asking, he was warning me off my own land. That night I typed up a giant private property trespassers will be prosecuted notice and slapped it in my window. Next morning I was in Ronald's office dropping the whole mess, fake agreements, maps, camera shots right in his lap. He flipped through it, tapped the signature and muttered, "This is felony level stupid." I asked, "Can we press charges yet?" "Not until we kill the easement," he grinned. I didn't wait. Hired a surveyor, marked the boundary in glaring orange, and ordered up a chain-link fence with an electronic gate. "You know this'll cut someone off," the foreman said. "That's the point." By dusk, the steel posts were in. Alan showed up, demanded an explanation. "Marked boundary," I said. "And you were warned." He tried to throw the HOA handbook at me. Neighborly spirit, blah blah. I just shrugged and reminded him about his fake signature from a dead man. That shut him up quick. Installed a keypad gate, motion sensors, big, "You're being recorded" sign. Middle of the night, the alarm pings. Alan's out there, hoodie up, trying the gate, fumbling for something metal. Didn't call the cops, just saved the footage. Added it to my growing folder of greatest hits. 2 days later, knock at the door. Sheriff's deputies called about blocked resident access. I just smiled, handed them all my paperwork, walked them right to the gleaming new gate survey in hand, even showed the video of Alan creeping at 2 a.m. Deputies took one look, handed the file back. "You're in the clear. That was a nice cup of coffee." You'd think that'd be the end, right? No, Alan upped the ante. I got served with a lawsuit petition for prescriptive easement by use. Alan claimed he'd used the trail openly for over 7 years. George's magic number presented Google Earth photos, drone shots, even had HOA members swearing the road had been there forever, though they'd only lived here 3 years. His legal argument was thick with buzzwords, thin on truth. I called Ronald, read him the petition. He laughed so hard he nearly dropped the phone. Let him try. This is an autopsy, not a case. We countersued for fraud, trespass, malicious abuse, attached every document, every photo, even a decades-old aerial shot showing the trail completely overgrown, proving Alan's timeline was total fiction. First court date, Alan tried to dazzle the judge with neon highlighters and poster boards. Ronald just slid our binder across the table, certified survey, complaint logs. The agreement dated after my dad's death. Judge just raised an eyebrow. "You got an explanation for this?" Alan opened his mouth. Nothing came out. The judge didn't toss it. She called for a full hearing and put a temporary stop on Alan using the trail. He looked like someone had just canceled his Netflix during a snowstorm. And then the real twist, Ronald's contact in real estate found Alan's mortgage paperwork. Turns out he'd secured his loan using a fake shared driveway drawn over my trail. Even better, he'd started renting his basement out as a studio with private drive, easy access, $1, $600 a month, no permit. That's not just shady, that's bank fraud, zoning violation, consumer protection, you name it. Ronald nearly salivated. We filed a new motion. Judge was not amused. She ordered a full audit, and the bank jumped in furious. They'd been duped. Alan's tenant complained to the housing board saying she'd been promised a real driveway but had to hike through the woods with groceries. It was beautiful, one domino after another. Final hearing. The courtroom's packed, even a few HOA board members trying not to make eye contact. Judge didn't waste time. She called Allen out for forged documents, false testimony misleading the bank and the HOA, and flat out said, "There is no easement. Not now. Not ever." Ordered him to stop using the trail, remove debris, pay my fees, and submit to a financial audit for the mortgage fraud. Allen's lawyer tried to object. Judge shut him down cold. We walked out of there like champions. A week later, the bank jacked Allen's rate, hit him with default. HOA cut ties. His tenant moved out. His house sat unsold. No one wanted a mountain lot with no legal access. Listing dropped 60%. Rustic isolation, the realtor called it. I call it poetic justice. One day, Allen was just gone. No apology, no word, just vanished. Me. I made it official, recorded a permanent declaration, no access, no easement ever unless I personally sign it. Put up 6 more concrete posts painted private property access denied in bold black. 4 months on the woods are finally quiet again. No more creeping SUVs, no more fake legal threats, just the wind in the pines and the generator hum when the power's out. Welded a new sign on the gate for good measure. If you think this is a road, you took a wrong turn back in 1997. One hiker laughed. That's some kind of joke. No, I said, that's a tombstone. So here's my question for you. What's your line? How far would you go to defend what's yours when someone tries to bulldoze their way through your life? Drop a comment. Let's hear your wildest neighbor stories, or just tell me if you'd have handled Allen differently. Out here, 10 acres is 10 acres, and the gate only opens one way. Mine.